Whether it's because we were just happy to have him out of the country or because his idiotic cabinet was creating scandals and stories on their own, Donald Trump's state visit to the UK mostly flew under the radar. Now, sure, there were some stories that came out of it, but most of the time I wasn't paying attention to our petty little president being paraded around like he was the most important little boy in the world, because I don't want to listen to Donald Trump if I don't have to. And clearly, King Charles feels the same, because in the wake of what was clearly a disaster visit, the king, who mocked Donald Trump through most of it, is mocking him still, and the mockery is being noticed by world leaders who are now exposing just how badly Donald Trump was humiliated and laughed at. And we are going to get into it all, but before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button, because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, before we can get into how King Charles humiliated Donald Trump and torched him over one of the biggest scandals of this administration, I want to start with the biggest scandal of this administration that was hanging over the whole trip, the Epstein scandal, and Lawrence O'Donnell broke it down right here.
If Andrew was too close to Jeffrey Epstein to not be allowed close to the king, how can Donald Trump be sitting at that table close to the king? Peter Mandelson got fired last week. Andrew is not allowed at that table, and now Peter Mandelson, who was supposed to be at that table, who was going to be at that table as of last week, is now not allowed at that table. When this flattery invitation was extended to Donald Trump, Peter Mandelson was in the room in the Oval Office. Peter Mandelson was then the British ambassador to the United States, and he lost that job just last week because of Jeffrey Epstein. Last week, Bloomberg published emails between Peter Mandelson and Jeffrey Epstein in 2008, after Jeffrey Epstein pleaded guilty in a plea deal for sex trafficking. Peter Mandelson emailed Jeffrey Epstein saying, "I think the world of you, and I feel hopeless and furious about what has happened. I can still barely understand it. It could not happen in Britain." That was the day after Jeffrey Epstein began serving his very light sentence in Florida, in which he was allowed to spend the day at his office while sleeping at a facility in custody overnight. It just could not happen in Britain. I guess not. What happens in Britain is the king just makes you do nothing for the rest of your life. And so the British government, in its idiotic attempt to co-opt Donald Trump through flattery, has put their king in the center of the Epstein scandal tonight, with Donald Trump sitting at the table while the ghosts of former Ambassador Mandelson and little brother Andrew float around the room.
Donald Trump should have never been welcomed to the UK. Donald Trump shouldn't be welcomed anywhere. I remember after Trump was first convicted, the list of countries that came out that he wouldn't be able to travel to because he was a felon. And I wish world leaders would have had some backbone. Donald Trump is a felon. Donald Trump is a criminal, and his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein is disqualifying of him being paraded around anywhere, especially by our closest ally, when Donald Trump doesn't seem to care about our allies. And that's the biggest problem that King Charles had with Donald Trump, especially after he said this.
Force went up today into the Baltic Sea to chase away Russian fighter planes. What is Putin doing?
You know, I'm disappointed in Putin. I'll tell you, I'm very disappointed in him. I settled 7 wars at least, but I settled 7 wars, all of which they said were not settleable. And I got them done. And, you know, the ones I'm not going to bore you going over a long list, but they were wars that were very tough to settle. Even the Congo in Africa, Rwanda, going on for many, many years, almost 10 million people killed, settled, got them all done.
Ah, yes, disappointed in Putin, but willing to go no further in expressing that disappointment. Look at the way that Donald Trump talks about Putin versus the way he talks about tariffs. When he talks about tariffs, like the idiot that he is, it's that we need to get back what's been taken from us for so long. It's time for people to start feeling uncomfortable. But when it's his buddy Vlad, it's, well, you know, I don't want to upset him because he's Vladimir Putin's bitch. And even King Charles recognized that and said it to Trump's face, and it has world leaders laughing at the president. A Ukrainian MP said Thursday that Donald Trump was humiliated on the world stage yet again while he visited the United Kingdom's royal family. The leader of the Ukrainian Holos Party discussed Trump's UK visit in an interview with Times Radio. Ruddock said that King Charles humiliated Trump during the state dinner at Windsor Castle by subtly calling out Trump's isolationist stance in the war in Ukraine. King Charles said that it was time for Europe and our allies to stand together, defeat the growing wave of fascism. It was such a nice statement from a leader who understands the difference between value and values, Ruddock said, looking at it not just from a short-term gain situation, but from the historical situation, from something that you believe in for generations and stand for, that you know how important it is to be on the right side of history. Ruddock also accused Trump of playing a game to help Russian President Vladimir Putin escape accountability for invading Ukraine. Does he want to continue to be humiliated, or does he want to be a strong president as promised, the leader said. Does he want to be perceived as someone who can end the war, someone who deserves the Nobel Peace Prize, someone who is actually ready to stand up against China, against Iran, against North Korea, or as someone that all of these tyrannies will be laughing at? No, that's exactly what Donald Trump is. He is someone that we are all laughing at. And he is not a strong man, certainly in any way. That's the biggest lie to me of the Trump administration, that this is someone who fundamentally will always overcome whatever obstacles stand in the way of the expansion of his authoritarian project. That's just not true. Donald Trump is constantly losing. His plans are consistently backfiring. If we cede the ground, he will take it. So we can't. We have to fight back, because so many times every scheme Donald Trump comes up with, it backfires. And the latest example might be one of the worst yet, because it has criminally implicated members of his administration. Chris Hayes broke it all down, and I want to check it out right here.
So today, the Trump administration asked the Supreme Court for permission to immediately fire the only black woman serving on the Federal Reserve's Board of Governors, a woman who's appointed by Joe Biden. Now, this is part of Donald Trump's unprecedented attempt to just get control of the Federal Reserve Board so he can personally dictate the country's monetary policy in violation of the entire structure of the independent central bank that we've had for over 100 years. Trump claims that he legally can fire that governor, Lisa Cook, for cause. The cause, he says, is alleged mortgage fraud. The White House says that in 2021, Cook took out a mortgage on a condo in Atlanta. This is before she even joined the Fed. And she told the lender it would be her primary residence when she already had a primary home in Michigan. Now, if those allegations weirdly sound familiar, well, it's because Cook isn't alone.
She is just the latest perceived political enemy of the president to face mortgage fraud accusations. NBC News reported this same month that Bondi had appointed former interim U.S. Attorney Ed Martin to serve as a special attorney to investigate similar allegations against California Senator Adam Schiff and New York State Attorney General Letitia James.
Okay, so allegations against Lisa Cook and California Senator Adam Schiff, New York Attorney General Letitia James. It does seem more than a little odd that three people Trump has it out for just all happen to commit the same infraction, doesn't it? Like, where are all these allegations of specifically mortgage fraud coming from? Well, from one man, it turns out. This guy, his name is Bill Pulte. He is the heir to a construction empire, and he's a big Trump donor who regularly blasts out pro-MAGA messages to his 3 million Twitter followers. And Pulte was handpicked by Trump to run the Federal Housing Finance Authority. It's a big job. Job is basically to oversee U.S. mortgage markets, which is an important job, to jumpstart home sales, improve housing affordability. But he also has access to mortgage documents from millions of American homeowners. And boy, it sure seems that he has been searching them for the dirt the administration could use against its adversaries. In fact, he's the one that referred Schiff and James to the DOJ for prosecution. And in the case of Lisa Cook, ginned up a pretext for her illegal firing.
I've never seen people support crime like this. This is insane. Alleged crime, let's call it that.
Role at what you're doing now is to seek out and find mortgage fraud.
That's completely false. That's completely false, Joe. That's completely false. My job, and I swore an oath before the Senate and otherwise, that I would root out mortgage fraud and that I would ensure that there's safety and soundness in the mortgage market.
I'm going to root out mortgage fraud. And I'm going to start with, the Fed governor the president wants to fire. This is so far beyond the pale, the political head of an agency digging through government files for dirt on political opponents, that even the conservative editorial board of the Wall Street Journal blasted Pulte's work as government weaponization, saying it was an ominous turn in political lawfare. This is nasty business. But Pulte's accusations against Cook are not just government overreach, they are also bunk. Last week, NBC News reviewed financial documents that contradict Pulte and the Trump administration's claims. They show that Cook has consistently declared that Atlanta that condo is a second home. The paperwork Pulte cited for his claims was likely an oversight that brought Cook no special benefits. Remember, you've bought a home before, maybe, and there's a ton of paperwork. So now senior law enforcement officials tell NBC News the mortgage fraud investigation into Letitia James is also at a standstill. Wait for it, because federal agents and prosecutors don't believe they have enough evidence to get a conviction if the case were to go to trial. Like Cook, James said the allegations stem from one document that erroneously lists a second home as her primary residence. And as with Cook, the rest of the loan documents accurately say the home would not be James' primary residence. According to records reviewed by Reuters, Mark and Julie Pulte, the father and stepmother of Bill Pulte, since 2020 have claimed so-called homestead exemptions for residences in wealthy neighborhoods in both Michigan and Florida. In fact, when Reuters brought the issue to a Michigan tax official's attention, he told them revised tax bills will be issued to the Pultes, including all applicable penalty and interest. Boy, thanks, son. So, Trump now wants the Supreme Court to fire the Fed board's only black woman for mortgage fraud she does not appear to have committed, but that was alleged by a Trump appointee with access to everyone's mortgage records. A Trump appointee using his time in public service to hunt for evidence of misdeeds by Trump's political enemies, as his own family benefited from the same kind of dubious housing claims.
This is serious levels of idiocy from the Trump White House. Getting yourself in trouble for mortgage fraud when you were trying to place that blame on one of your so-called political opponents, all because they won't break the law to unrig your broken economy. Donald Trump doesn't know what he's doing. Donald Trump isn't the ultimate strongman. Donald Trump wants to be, but more than anything, Donald Trump wants you to believe him to be. That is the most powerful thing he can have. Your defeat, your belief that he will always steamroll us. That is not the case. But that is what a company like ABC is doing right now, pulling Jimmy Kimmel off the air. So do you want to be like ABC, or do you want to tell Donald Trump to fuck off, say he can't steamroll you, bring the fight, and say, arrest me? Yeah, that's how far you got to go. And then we're going to still keep fighting. That's certainly what we're doing on this show. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. And if you're stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. Keep on fighting. We're not going to let them silence us. Until next time, I'll see you soon.